So today's the day. Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms is finally here. And I'll have to say that my viewing experience was pretty interesting to start out with. I had pre-ordered the movie, and when you pre-order the movie through Amazon, or possibly anywhere you possibly pre-order it, but I did it through Amazon, usually it'll drop at 11 o'clock the day before the actual release. And so I was planning on watching the movie, and I basically went to watch it and clicked the link to play, and it was not Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms. It was some Night of the Living Dead cartoon that I never heard of. And I was like, what the heck is this? So I tried it on my TV, my phone, my computer, all the same thing. I reached out to Amazon. They're like, oh, snap. Well, thank you for letting us know. So I was like, well, crap, what am I going to do? So then I went to Voodoo, and Voodoo was like another 3 hours before it was going to come out. So I was like, ugh, I ain't staying up for that. So I woke up early this morning, and lo and behold, Amazon has fixed the link. So yeah, what an interesting way to start Battle of the Realms. But nonetheless, I got to watch it, so let's dive into my review of Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms. So let's start off with the good. So as some of the earlier reviews have already said, and I'm sure you'll know yourself, this movie is for Mortal Kombat fans. Not to say that people that are not familiar with Mortal Kombat can't watch this and enjoy it. I did rewatch Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge before I was watching this movie, and trying to make the comparison if someone who's not familiar with Mortal Kombat can watch it. You can. They do flow fairly well with each other, so you could watch the first one and watch the second one and be fine. But this movie is made for Mortal Kombat fans, and I love that because you get, as a Mortal Kombat fan, we get introduced to more characters, more places. There's more special moves and powers that are presented in this movie, fatalities. There's stuff like that I've come to expect from the video game and that we want to see in either live action or in animated form or in comics or whatever. And it's nice to see that we're getting that as if more bang for the buck, if you will. And I think it's good that they are, presenting it more for Mortal Kombat fans, because that's generally who's going to watch this movie is going to be Mortal Kombat fans. Next up is animation. So despite what some of the early reviews have said, I think the animation was just fine. It was comparable to the first one, and I think just slightly better. There was a couple scenes where I was like, wow, from the powers and the and just the landscaping and weather and just overall animation style. I know some people didn't like the design of the blockiness, but compared to some of the other movies I've seen recently, like with DC and stuff like that, I think this is good. I mean, I'm even thinking like Invincible, while it's not as angular, I think overall the animation works just fine, and I was happy with it. Next on my list is Joe McGill. Now I know there's a lot of voice actors on here. All the voice actors do a great job, but the one that always stands out is Joe McGill. And basically it's the Joe McGill show, and in a good way, not in a bad way. I mean, he doesn't necessarily overshadow a whole lot of people per se, but when he talks and he has his jokes, he's very much playing up to Johnny Cage's, arrogance and as an actor. And just like he did in the first one, that's the stuff you kind of remember the most. After watching the movie, that's some of the takeaways, is a lot of the jokes and humor that he's trying to do in the running gags throughout the movie, and it's all thanks to Joe McHale's voice acting. And last on my list for the good before we get to the bad is MK Anime. Now, if this movie has proven anything, especially in the third act, well, actually, there's parts in the second act, I guess, and then the third act. This movie could very much be a poster child for a Mortal Kombat anime show or movie. A anime reinterpretation of Mortal Kombat, or an HBO Max spinoff series, if you want to do an anime style of that Sonya Blade Special Forces or some other MK story out there, this is a good chance to do that. And when you watch it, you're going to be like, wow, this reminds me of this show, and this show, Dragon Ball Z, and this show, and this show, and that's all I'll say about that. But it very much is something that I was pleased to see, and I'm glad that they went there, because how can you not go there? I know that Mortal Kombat's very much a North American show, United States, but its storyline and stuff relies heavily on, Chinese and Japanese, culture in some ways, and ancestry and stuff like that. So I think it's would be nice to see those things blended together in some true form to give it a special art, if you will, like they did much like the Batman Ninja movie. They've done that with Marvel. I would love to see a Mortal Kombat anime like they're about to do with Star Wars. I think this could be a theme. Warner Brothers get on the bandwagon and do a Mortal Kombat reinterpretation in an anime form, whether like a TV show or like a what if thing, whatever you got to do. make it happen. I think it'll be great, and I think a lot more fans will watch it, and maybe not MK fans will watch it too. All right, let's get to the bad. So first up, let's talk about the script. So overall, I liked it. Okay, I was cool with it. Like I said, this movie is made for MK fans, but there was a couple things that I noticed that I'm like thinking, how can you not notice that and not let it bother you? So, as I said, a layperson can watch the first one and watch this one and get it for the most part. But when you're watching this movie, you notice that we start this movie smack dab in a time where we kind of skipped. Like there's a big gap missing. For instance, and you've already seen this in the trailers, obviously we know that Jax got his arms ripped off in the first one, Raiden cauterized the wounds, and he's dragged off by Kano and somebody else. Where in there did he get his metallic arms? I don't remember that happening anywhere. Where did Johnny Cage, we see in the trailer that he does his, green powers. Where did he get his power? We don't remember, where did we see that? There's just stuff like that you're going to notice, and even heroes that don't have any powers that should have powers, but we don't get to see. So it's just interesting how they do that and this skip ahead or skip around, and like they just assume because they're Mortal Kombat fans that we're like, well, they'll get it. They're not going to ask questions. Jax is supposed to have his metal arms, that they're cool with it. They know Johnny Cage has powers, they're cool with it. While we are, I think it'd be kind of cool though to still explain a little bit. I mean, even so far as to why Katana's the general, I mean, they don't give a whole lot of backstory, and that's leads me up to my next problem with it is the cram storylines. While I do appreciate, like I said, more characters, more places, more special moves, more powers, more things going on, I think they maybe did do a little bit too much. When watching the movie, you don't really get a big sense of that though until like the third act. I think overall it flowed very well, at least for me, being an MK fan. I followed it just fine, and I didn't think to myself, well, we got too much going on. I mean, it seemed very, to me, two main storylines, because the second part of the movie that was playing off with Scorpion and Shinnok and the Lin Kuei and all that kind of stuff, that seemed to all kind of intertwine with each other throughout the movie, and then you had the tournament going on. So it didn't seem like there was a whole lot. It seemed like it was two things parallel, like a backstory, similar to like what you had in the first movie. You had the Sub-Zero versus Scorpion plus, the tournament with Shang Tsung. So for me, that part worked. The part where it kind of got derailed was in the third act, and mainly just the part with Shinnok. There was a part in the movie where you really felt like, all right, this is the climax, and this is where they're gonna like end it. You get that feeling, at least I did. I was like, all right, here we go. They're leading up to it, but we've had all this other stuff happen in the movie. Like, I feel fulfilled to some degree. They should end it in MK Legends 3, like a to be continued kind of thing. And then they didn't, and they went there, and they just kind of went there really quick. They just kind of wing bang boom, and there you go. It was over. So because they did it that way, that made me kind of not like it too much. I did like the third act for some of the stuff I mentioned in the, my good, like the MK anime part, because some of that stuff just was appealing to me, but there was stuff that they did that just didn't make sense. And the third act solidified in my mind that we really had a bunch of storylines meshed together in this one movie as if they were never going to be able to tell another Mortal Kombat Legends movie again. So we got Shao Kahn, we got Shao Kahn's invasion, Shinnok's revenge. We got somewhat of an ending for Mortal Kombat 11 in this. What else am I missing? As if that wasn't enough. We got, there's so many. I mean, you even got a little bit of Mortal Kombat Armageddon, like a stretch. There was a lot of these things meshed together, and they didn't necessarily need to be meshed together because it was flowing decent at a point. If I feel like they had stopped and made it for like a third movie or a 2.5 movie, like a part 2, they could have fleshed it out more, introduced more characters. It would have been a little better. So that leads me up to my next point. Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge was very much Scorpion being the focal point of the movie and being a hero, with the backdrop being the tournament. This time around, while it seems like Liu Kang is the focus of the movie because he is the chosen one, and the way they open the movie and the way it's talked about throughout the movie that, you know, Raiden's like, you are the chosen one. You are the chosen one. He is the chosen one. Shao Kahn's like the chosen one. You know, Shang Tsung's the chosen one. You know, they're always saying it. And then they do stuff with Liu Kang throughout the movie that would seem that way. But because of everything else that's going on, including Scorpion and Shinnok and this, and that, it doesn't really feel like Liu Kang is the chosen one. Not to say he's like Cole Young. Like, he's not that far not the chosen one. You know, like, we're not like, geez, Liu Kang. You know, I don't feel like you're anybody. We get that he is supposed to do stuff like fight Shao Kahn and do this and that, but it just didn't feel like he was able to hold the movie on his own. We had to have Scorpion in there. We had to have Johnny Cage do this and that. We had to have this happen, or Lin Kuei. We had to have all those things in there because maybe Liu Kang wouldn't have been the pull of the movie. Which kind of makes sense to me because, you know, when Scorpion's Revenge came out, we had like the regular Blu-ray, DVD, 4K set, and then we had the special edition that came out with like a little figure of Scorpion because it's Scorpion's Revenge. On the cover of this movie, even though it's Battle of the Realms, and the movie kind of stipulates that Liu Kang is the chosen one, why didn't we get like a little Liu Kang figure with the movie? He's the main guy on the cover. So I think because this movie is trying to set up where it's not necessarily, even though they make it seem like it's for Liu Kang, it's not for Liu Kang, if that makes sense, which is kind of weird to me. I wanted to say real quick that, you know, I did the video Who Will Die, and as far as my death predictions, I was right for the majority of it, including in my comments, people were saying that that was Shang Tsung that got his spine pulled out by the demon. That is incorrect. I was correct. It is the Lin Kuei Grandmaster, but the people in my comments were correct. I was talking about Smoke versus Kuai Liang, or Smoke versus Scorpion, and I was wrong, and it was Kuai Liang versus Scorpion. Smoke did not battle Kuai Liang because they were, you know, friends and brothers and all that kind of stuff, Lin Kuei brothers. So I was wrong in that sense, but I was right with the Grandmaster, and the majority of my guesses are good. And there are some good surprises in here that I didn't see coming, so be prepared for that. And that is something in the good. But I just want to say that if you haven't seen that video, go watch it, then watch this. Watch that video, watch the movie, then watch this, and have some fun with it. So were the early reviews right? So in my MK Injustice News mashup that I did, I talked about the early reviews for Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms, and the majority of them gave the movie basically an average, which is of 66, about a D, like a D+. And their main gripes were it was only for MK fans, or they were saying that it was for MK fans. They didn't really like the character design too much. One review said that it was stuck in the arena a whole lot, which I don't agree with. And the main part was the script and the story flow. There was too much, and in some parts they left out or didn't make sense. I would say they are correct in the part about the script, but I don't agree with some of the other points that they made. It is for MK fans. That's going to be the main people that are going to watch this movie. For them, I think they'll be fine with it. I think they'll enjoy it. But I think the script alone, I think you really kind of feels in certain parts that they're trying to cram too much in here. And while it does flow for the most part, and as an MK fan, you'll be fine with it, the third act, I think, will be what you're going to realize is like, wow, this was rushed really fast. So in that part, I think that's what hits the movie the most. And that leads into my rating of, I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5 Mortal Kombat Dragons. And that basically equates to like a 70, so like a C. So it's kind of in line with what the other reviews have been giving it. Now, it's not like a 5 out of 10 from like IGN. I don't think it's that bad. I think that review was a little bit harsh. But I think that the script is, you know, which seems to be the case with a lot of animated movies, but given the way we went through this journey with Scorpion in the first one, and we were able to relate to him, and we saw his individual journey, and then also have the backdrop of Mortal Kombat, and then go to this one and really have zero character development, even really from Liu Kang. I would feel like I didn't feel attached to him at all. I felt attached to Scorpion. I didn't really feel attached to Liu Kang. I just feel like they're not quite this on the same level, and I feel like that one was a little bit better. So in my opinion, I think the first one was better than this one. I enjoyed this one. I appreciate it for what it is, but from just a straight movie standpoint, if I was reviewing it from a movie, the first one was better. So that's my review of Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about the movie if you've seen it. Try not to do any spoilers because I haven't done any spoilers in this review, so don't do any spoilers. If you do have to say something, I will try not to delete it. If it's like flat out giving the movie away, I'm going to remove it. But if you have to say something, try to put spoilers, you know, asterisk spoilers or hashtag spoilers or something. So that way someone will know and they can kind of maybe skip through the comments. But let me know in your comments below what you think about the movie and if you agree with the stuff I talk about in my review. And that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.